Hey guys, it's Jenna here, reporting live from my very own kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the best sugar cookies. They're super easy to cut out in the shapes. They're really nice to decorate. They won't crumble on you. So that's why I think they are perfect for the holidays. I bake them every year for my family for Christmas. All my extended family and I, we have this tradition where all my cousins, my aunts, everyone has to cook or bake their own meal. We bring it together for Christmas dinner so you can share with everyone your different food. So quite a few years ago, I started making these sugar cookies. I've been doing it for a couple years since and everyone loves them. First things first, before we get started, wash your hands. You don't want to do any form of cooking without washing your hands, and no one's going to want to eat your cookies if you didn't. Now that your hands are all washed, we're going to go ahead and jump into what we need for these cookies. So first, for ingredients, you're going to need 1.5 cups of butter. That's 3 sticks of butter, and you need it to be room temperature, so leave it out the night before. Don't put them in the microwave. It's not going to be the same consistency. It won't work. You're going to need 4 eggs, 2 cups of granulated sugar, and you can start out with this in your big mixing bowl. It's going to be the first thing you mix. You need 5 cups of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. That's all you need for ingredients-wise. Other things you're going to need. You're going to need a rolling pin to roll out your dough. You're going to need both plastic wrap and parchment paper. The plastic wrap is going to be for rolling your dough up later. You're also going to need an electric mixer. You're going to need some cookie sheets to bake them in the oven. And lastly, you're going to need all the stuff you need for decorating. So I've got all these different cookie cutters. I've got different forms of gel to put in the frosting to make different colored frosting. A few cans of frosting. Personally, I like the cream cheese frosting. It's my favorite, really good on cookies. I also have different kinds of sprinkles. So here's the first step of making these cookies. You're gonna cream together your 2 cups of sugar and all of your butter. So you can just go ahead and put those in. And you take your electric mixer, put it on its lowest setting to start. You don't want the sugar to fly out everywhere. And then just cream it together until it's smooth. And then just mix. It's pretty funny actually. I'm not the greatest at using a lot of cooking things. My family always makes fun of me. They're all in the restaurant business. They're all like, Jenna, you should be a lot better at this by now. And I'm like, once you've creamed it together, it should look something like this, that kind of consistency. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is beat in your eggs and vanilla. So I recommend doing this 1 or 2 eggs at a time, just again, so everything doesn't fly out everywhere. Actually, one of the first times I was making these, I was about like 10 years old. And I didn't know how to really do it. So I put everything in the mixing bowl at once. And everything just went flying all over the kitchen. My family wasn't super happy with that one. Once you finish beating in the eggs and the vanilla, it's supposed to look something like that kind of consistency there. Next, you pour a little bit of your dry ingredient mixture into the bowl with your creamed mixture already. Again, keep it on a low setting and keep it low inside the bowl so your flour doesn't go everywhere. And it's kind of personal preference, but I like to do my dry ingredients in about increments of thirds or fourths into this bowl, just to, again, keep it from going places that you don't want to clean it up afterwards. So looks like I'm gonna do fourths with this one. Once you're done mixing that all together, it's gonna look like this. That's your final dough consistency. And obviously, like any great baker, you gotta test out that excess dough. Next, you're gonna wanna get a pretty significantly large size piece of plastic wrap here. Just tear that off the edge. And then just take it and set it flat down on the counter. You're gonna need to chill your dough, and we're gonna wrap it in this before putting it in the fridge. So then you can take your spatula and put the dough onto this piece of plastic wrap. And if you didn't do it big enough, no worries. You can always just take another piece and cover it up. So just take all of your dough out, put it into a kind of ball shape if you can. Again, you want to make sure that your dough is completely wrapped up in the plastic wrap. Once it is, you can go ahead and place that in the fridge. And again, let that sit overnight. Once it's been 24 hours, head back to the fridge, pull out your dough. It should be pretty firm and sturdy by now. Then take a little bit of flour, not a specific measurement, but just take a bit, spread it out on your countertop, and just mix it around so there's a light layer of flour. There we go. This is just so your dough doesn't stick to the counter. So once you've got your flour all out on the counter, I also like to flour up my rolling pin a little bit. It makes it a lot easier. It doesn't stick to the pin as much. Just gonna roll out the pin a bit here. And then I also like doing my dough in not one big piece. I'll do it in like halves or thirds. I think it makes it a lot better. You can also place a little bit of flour on the dough, but try not to do too much flour, else it's gonna ruin the cookies, but you don't want it to stick, and you wanna make your life easier when you start to roll it out. So once you've got that, you can just push in the middle and start rolling away from you and towards you until it starts flattening. So all right, once it's all rolled out, it doesn't matter the shape that it's in as long as the thickness is the same throughout the whole thing. My thickness is about a 1/2 inch. I think that's a pretty good one for these cookies that you're gonna make. And next to you, you're gonna want an ungreased cookie sheet. And from there, you can start cutting out your cookies. So you just take your little cookie cutter, place it, push it down, pull it out, lightly push it out from the cookie cutter, and there you go. And you just place it on the pan and place them all about 1 inch apart so they don't stick together when baking. Once you feel like you've utilized as much of that dough as possible, you're gonna take it all, squish it into a ball, and then you take your rolling pin, start rolling it all out again, and then you can cut out shapes from that dough. Next, do the same process with your other half of dough. Then you're gonna wanna preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, you can put your cookies into the oven. The larger ones bake for about 6 to 8 minutes. So make sure that you put them in with the same size so they all bake evenly. So after about 6 or 7 minutes, you can take out your cookies. You just want to look and see that the bottoms kind of have a brown edge there. So you can go ahead and take them both out if they look like they're done. Once you've pulled those out, you can go ahead and put your smaller cookies in. Those are gonna bake for about 4 or 5 minutes since they're smaller, so just check on them, make sure they're not burning. After about 4 or 5 minutes, the little cookies should be ready. You can pull them out of the oven. Now that your cookies are all out of the oven, here comes the fun part. You get to start decorating. So the first thing that I'm gonna do here is make some green frosting. So I know I'm gonna have a lot of green frosting to use. So I'm gonna take a couple scoops of frosting out of the can and then put in some green food dye. Not too much, a couple drops. You don't want it to be super dark. Then you can just kind of mix it all together in the bowl. I know I have a lot of trees shapes, so I'm gonna use the green for that. So that's why I'm making quite a bit of green. Then you can always, if you want to make it a lighter green or a darker green, add more or less drops, or if you have any other colors that you want. So we're gonna have right now, I'm gonna make it a little bit darker, I think. Add in another little drop here. Then you just keep stirring. And And then you have some green frosting. I'm gonna make a couple more colors. I've also got my sprinkles here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with a tree then. So you can just grab, I like having a separate plate to do the decorating on. So you can grab a plate, grab your first cookie. So here's my tree. I'm just gonna take it, lightly spread a little layer on, however much you want. If you want to do a little bit, a lot, all personal preference, honestly. You just kind of spread it on, get it on the little corners there. Before I put on the sprinkles, I'm just gonna do a little yellow star at the top with some yellow dye. And then just take my sprinkles. I'm gonna do colorful ones for little ornaments, kinda. And just sprinkle them all on. Then you can kind of pick it up and shake off the excess one. If you see a spot that needs some more, go ahead and sprinkle some more on. And then there it is. And just do it with the rest of your cookies, however you want to decorate them, then you're all set.